Well, I've done a little more work on the Atlas. Uh, got the basic wiring done, and I also put the lower half of the legs together. So let's start with a look at the legs, because it's the least interesting of them. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces each. So, and I don't have the little heel part. It's not in reach at the moment, but that goes there. So the foot, the shin, your knee actuator, and another cover for your knee actuator. This, as the instructions say, you have an outer plate and the round part's the inner piece. So I love the look of this. I really do. Size-wise, there's your, let me get you a guy who's standing. Let me get you a 25 millimeter guy who's standing, or 28 millimeter guy who's standing, right? So that's your size of this thing. Clearly it's not going to be small. But I've got that much together. That was just a matter of putting it together. I did put the feet slightly offset. It's a ball joint. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I'm going to have this one displayed in a mech bay type standing, so he's going to be not as dynamic as I did with the Daishi. I've been tempted to do where I had the direwolf standing on top of an Atlas head. I was seriously tempted to do the actual reverse of that. And I may do that for another one, but not this one. So that's your feet. I actually, like I said, I put these offset just a little bit, just give a little bit more of a dynamic aspect to the pose rather than, just standing straight up, military, stock straight kind of thing. So that's your feet. And there's your torso. Again, good idea of the size you're looking at here. This thing is not small at all. So what I've done with this is I did up the wiring. It's your bottom half. Here's your LR44. That's what we'll run. The two LR44s will be the power source. Your switch is here on the back, straight up and down. Drop that in. That hides fairly well right there once it gets painted up. I suspect it's going to hide in the paint job fairly well. This I'm not going to bother to cover because it'll just drop right in here with your back, and then you have to turn it a lot to even see it. And this is not going to have that dynamic of a pose where it's standing. So if I do another one, I may put a cover in if I want a more dynamic pose, but I'll worry about that's really not relevant to this. So yes, these wires are a little bit long. They will get trimmed back a lot once I get done finishing this. So I have the head pretty well wired up. Now I just need to finish detailing these little pieces here. That's what we'll be still seeing when the head turns. Like I said, I've said before, I want to add the ability for the head to have a little bit more of a turn, so that'll give it a little more of a dynamic look. So this will get filled up with putty, and then I will detail these up with this green stuff is still a little bit tacky, so I can't really do much until it dries. But then I'll put little piping and other stuff just to make it look a little more interesting, and it'll be mostly in shadows, as you can see here, but you'll see some of it, and that'll be enough to give it interest and not be blatant that it just doesn't look right. So the overall wiring I've done, I'm going to go to, I took a bunch of pictures while I did the wiring and how I drilled up, and I will go ahead and cut to that piece now. So I started out drilling out a hole about the size of the LR44 battery container. Took it down just deep enough for it to sit in. Ran a couple of holes up through the sides of that so the wires could feed up through and not have to thread out through a sharp corner. That'll just be right where those wires will come out. The LR44 container is going to drop right in. That's about how much room it's got. And then if you look, we've got probably 1/4 of an inch clearing. So then I start wiring up the switch, send the switch down through another hole that I should have run the first time, pull it through. That's where I'll hook that up straight to the LR44 container, run the other wire up through, and it'll go up through the main hole. So then I put that back plate on, covered up with green stuff, because it makes it stick better. Then we locate it there. You can see where the wires are, and that's where they'll sit for the back when we go ahead and drop on the back plate, and that's where all the wires will come together. So that was how I did the wiring. Yes, these wires are long. I'm going to cut these back a lot so they're not all sticking. Because basically, they're just going to sit here. They're going to join up right here in the back underneath the piece that sits here. So this will get trimmed back. These will get trimmed back. So it'll all join up right about here. It'll give the head its, centimeters worth of traverse back and forth. That's where I am so far. The next step for me will be to finish off the legs. I'll go ahead and get the thigh pieces put together and get them attached to this so that then I can gradually start painting. I still have to settle on a color scheme of what I want to paint it with. But that'll come. I'm trying to research some really cool atlas designs. There isn't really a super famous atlas like there's like the Prometheus or the Widowmaker for Natasha's Black Widow ride. So I'll probably just kind of come up with something that looks cool. There's a couple of Death's Head looks, and I'll see what MechWarrior Online's got and see what we come up with. I'd like to do something that's not just black, and I'd like to do something that's not just gray. So I'll probably do some sort of camo. But that's where we are right now on the MWO Atlas. Thank you very much, and have fun gaming.